Monsieur le ministre de la Culture, Monsieur le ministre de l'Éducation, de l'Enseignement supérieur de la Recherche, Madame la doyenne, Monsieur le coordinateur national de DARIAH en Serbie. It's really my pleasure to be here and to welcome you all to this launch of DARIAH Serbia. We met 2 years ago, basically trying to have some big plans about the possible integration of Serbia within DARIAH, and I think we managed something great. And I'm really, really happy to see the fruits that have grown from our earlier discussions a long time ago. To put this in perspective, I'll have a quick presentation. I won't to bother you with any kind of technical aspects, but to give you an idea about what DARIAH is. First, DARIAH is a long-standing endeavor. We started nearly 10 years ago with the idea of putting together at European level a coordination of national activities in the domain of digital infrastructures for the arts and humanities. And that was at that time where we didn't speak so much about digital humanities even, that was already an endeavor. And you see how we've made our way through, being now, as you will see, one of the two biggest so-called ERIC, that is European infrastructures, with 15 members and nearly 17 soon. What we're dealing with basically is the digital switch. Working in research in the humanities, in the arts and humanities, is working about sources, analyzing traces that human beings, human communities are leaving behind them to understand what we are as communities, how we've behaved, how we could behave maybe better, and it has an impact on all aspects of society. It has an impact on industry, it has an impact on education, as we know, and this is where we need to put the humanities at the same level as the other sciences by bringing them into the digital world. So the idea is twofold. First, of course, to take care of digitization programs which have taken place, for instance, in national libraries, national archives, and this is part of the plans you have at the national level here, but also born digital activities. There's a lot of research on analyzing tweets, for instance. What do they mean? How can we predict an episode of a flu somewhere around the world by just analyzing the tweets? So this is what we want to do by bringing researchers in the position to understand digital aspects and providing them with the adequate tools. It has not started last year. I'm mentioning people like Padre Busa, who started in the 50s to put together mechanical methods for analyzing the works of Thomas Aquinas, for instance. But basically, along those years, we've understood that doing digital humanities is not just a matter of tools. Data is very important, but even more is to keep the humanistic view of bringing people together by training, by having research networks, by exchanging competencies. That's what we're doing now. So DARIAH, because of that, is a bottom-up infrastructure. It relies on national roadmaps in digital aspects for each country. We now have these 15 countries you see to the left. Poland has applied a couple of weeks ago, and Portugal is about to bring its applications to DARIAH, so we'll bring 17 members, plus a couple of Swiss universities joining us. So this is the DARIAH network now, which is quite a big endeavor. Small, big countries from the west, from the east, we're quite somehow universal at European level. DARIAH is organized in big domains of activities, which we call virtual competency center, dealing with technical aspect, training aspect, with good practices and standards, which is essential to make data speak to other data in particular, and further organized in so-called working groups. This is where a researcher, an expert from a country, from Serbia, will work with other experts in Ireland, because we've got Susan here, or elsewhere in Europe. From this, we're trying to create a virtual circle of services, real technical services like long-term archiving mechanisms, persistent identifiers, many things which are really boring for non-technical people here, but also a lot of human-oriented services, among which training we shall see. We cover, DARIAH is big because the humanities are big. We cover a wide number of possible communities. I'm pointing to many related activities to DARIAH. I could mention ERI, the European Holocaust Research Infrastructure, so putting together all archives from the Holocaust period, or Sendari for the First World War, or Ariane in the domain of archaeology. So those various domains, so like history, archaeology, or lexicography, there is a very, very active group in Europe. Mr. Tomatazovac, your national coordinator, is taking part of that, where we actually compare the ways dictionary can be represented in order to be able to put all this lexical material at European level, at the same level of queryability, I would say. I mean, that any kind of user in research, but also in the public, can get access to. I would like to finish by one exemplary activity. So among the projects that DARIAH has been able to launch, there is this Erasmus Plus project, DARIAH Teach, which is actually compiling in a multilingual way all sorts of training material for teachers, researchers to bring the digital competence in many universities. I've heard that here in Belgrade there is, in your department, a digital program already, and this is contributing to such a European activity to share this experience. This is exactly the way to do. And I think I've been told you were responsible for a work package there concerning content development. So really one of the core aspects. And you see the kind of multinational consortia we're trying to put together in such endeavors. I don't have the lead in this country, which I would like. It's a very nice place to be. But I mean, I would see the next steps for DARIAH to actually put together its national capacity, its national roadmap in the domain of digital methods. And I'm really pleased. I would dream in France to have the Minister of Culture together with the Minister of Research speaking together. It's more difficult in my country, as you may know, to actually see how, for instance, digital assets from the cultural heritage domains can be brought to research when they are digitized, and there could be some national research program in this respect. I could imagine a lot of nice things, fancy things, I would say. I mean, the young ones would say cool things to do in this respect. And this is something we're trying also to develop with various countries. It's important to have to take this digital turn very, very seriously, because it's not because you can Google a little bit, you can be on Facebook and Twitter, that you know exactly what it means for digital information to be used, reusable, sustainable, that someone can read again the same data in 10 or 20 years. And this has to disseminate in all aspects of research, teaching project, but also in the industry, I think. And that's a good program for the years to be now. Thank you very much.